Hello world, and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to give you a Pidge update which doesn't really give me much joy, but it also doesn't give me too much sorrow. Today I'm going to tell you about us giving Pidge to an animal sanctuary, basically. I wanted to just talk about Pidge in general. On the 14th of June is when we first saw Pidge out of its nest in the backyard. We found out that you're not supposed to handle a pigeon. If you see a pigeon on the floor, you're basically just supposed to let them be, because their parents will come and feed them if they've fallen out of the nest. On Wednesday the 17th of June, it was really horrible weather. We were having a storm. We were alerted to something being wrong because there was a ruckus outside, and on further investigation it was evident that there were two magpies and a cat, all within close proximity to where Pidge was. At that point the decision was made to bring Pidge in for Pidge's own safety. Pidge was a little sorry state, all black feathers. They looked black I think because Pidge was wet, all dishevelled. We put Pidge in a cardboard box that we taped up the sides so that Pidge wouldn't be able to sort of clamber its way out. We weren't sure whether Pidge was going to make the night, so that was quite sad. The next day, when Pidge was alive, which was very exciting and a bit of a shock, we decided to try and make a concoction of seeds, nuts, some gluten-free bread and milk, which we didn't know, but you're not supposed to give pigeons milk at that point. So we made this concoction and force-fed Pidge with a syringe because Pidge didn't know how to eat yet. Basically, it was a little baby pigeon, so it didn't understand how to peck. Pidge was quite helpless. We fed Pidge. Pidge wasn't very excited about it. But Pidge didn't have any fight, so it just sort of wriggled around but let us do it, basically. I contacted a bird place. Someone recommended the Special Branch. When I first got onto their Facebook page, it said that they weren't taking any more birds. So I just messaged them on the off chance that they'd either be like, oh, I've not really got too many birds, I'll take this pigeon, or give us some advice on what to do. I told them what we were feeding Pidge. At that point actually we had got some kibble, some cat kibble from my sister, and we were blending that down, and we'd found out that they weren't supposed to have milk, so we'd stopped using milk and we had started using just warm water from the kettle, mixing it all together and putting it in a syringe with some ground up nuts and seeds as well. You can feed pigeons fruit of a wide variety. Not avocados though, don't give them that. So we were putting some fruit into it as well. Anyway, this bird sanctuary place, which is just like a man who looks after birds, told me a formula for baby birds. So I bought this formula and it said that it would probably take 30 days to arrive, and I wasn't sure whether we would still have Pidge at that point or whether Pidge would have flown away or if Pidge would have not survived. But I thought I'll buy it anyway, and then if it comes when we still have Pidge, then that's great, and if it arrives when we no longer have Pidge, then I will donate it to this bird person.
The bird man.
But it came within 48 hours, which is great. So the pigeon formula came 3 days after the first day of having Pidge. On the 20th, the formula arrived and we gave Pidge its first feed on proper formula. By this point, Pidge was getting a little bit stronger, so I could feel Pidge's claws on my hand, and Pidge would push its legs against me while I was holding Pidge. After we'd fed Pidge, we put Pidge back into its little cardboard box. We were just, scrolling on our phones, and then all of a sudden we heard a lot of noise coming from the kitchen. I thought to myself, oh my god, wouldn't it be brilliant if all we needed to do was just feed it, and then it was like, I'm a bird now, and was able to fly and go wherever it wanted. But it had managed anyway to get out of the cardboard box. It was just sort of sat it had managed to get out of the box and it was just sat on the kitchen floor. So I scooped Pidge back up, put Pidge back in the box, and then I put an old t-shirt over the top of the box to hopefully prevent Pidge from trying to escape again. Meanwhile, my sister, who had given us the cat kibble, had also given us a rat pen because she used to keep rats. It's just a canvas pen. So we set that up, made a little nest from an old colander, and we put some brown paper in it and some shredded paper into this, what we will now refer to as a nest. So Pidge would be put in that at night time. Well, no, that's a lie. Pidge would just be put in that and it settled Pidge. There was a net top to this little pen, so if Pidge did try to fly out, Pidge wouldn't get very far because there was a net. That was also the first day, on the 20th, that we tried to teach Pidge how to eat, because we researched pigeons and found out that baby pigeons don't have any natural instinct to eat because obviously their parents will come and feed them. So we put some seeds down on the floor that my sister had also given us because, you know, she's got a pop-up menagerie apparently. We put those down on the floor and I got some tweezers. I was tapping these tweezers onto the floor where the seeds were and picking them up and shaking them and dropping them and, you know, just trying to imitate a bird basically is what I was trying to do with these tweezers. Pidge was interested in something for the first time and it was really lovely. If I give you a demonstration, Pidge was sort of like looking . That is my impression of Pidge. Is my hair dusty? Crikey. So that was basically Pidge's way of being interested in food for the first time ever. Pidge didn't pick anything up and was generally quite afraid of me being near it, so Pidge didn't actually eat anything, and also Pidge's coordination wasn't great either. So, cut to the next day, we were researching how do you get a pigeon to eat, and it said exactly that. You're supposed to tap on the seeds and that sort of imitates the parent pigeons teaching the pigeon how to eat. So I was like, yes, we've done something right. The next day, on the 21st, we put Pidge outside in its little rat coop. I don't know, like material little thing. We put that outside and Pidge was really interested in being outside, and Pidge ate for itself while it was outside and away from us, and we heard it tinkling on the little bowl, and we could see it shaking its head up to get the food down its throat, and it was absolutely wonderful. Then we got to thinking, Pidge has never drank anything. We've been around Pidge for ages, the water bowl isn't going down, and we'd read that birds instinctively know what water is. So you don't need to teach them how to drink, they will just drink. But Pidge wasn't drinking, and seeing as we weren't syringe feeding Pidge anymore, it was a little bit concerning because obviously you can survive on food, but only for so long. You need water more than you need food. So I did the same thing with the water, tapping the water with the tweezers. A seed fell into the water while Pidge was eating, and I think that's what made Pidge put its beak into the water for the first time. But we were all sat around silently watching Pidge, and when it took its first drink, it was a really beautiful moment. And I know that sounds really stupid, I'm talking about a pigeon here, but it was really sweet, and we were all really excited because it was like every step that Pidge took, it's like a closer step for Pidge surviving longer. Prior to that, we had been dunking Pidge's head. It sounds really barbaric, but that is what it suggests you to do if your pigeon isn't drinking enough. Poke its head into water. But yeah, so its first independent drink without being forced to drink was on the 23rd. A couple of days after that, our next door neighbour came round and offered us to lend their rabbit hutch.
Which I think that they're intending to sell at a car boot because they definitely don't have any rabbits.
It was really hot, so we decided not to put Pidge outside straight away, just because a little coop outside and there's nowhere with shade that we could put this hutch because it's quite big. Next door neighbour kept saying like,
"Oh, are you putting the pigeon outside?"
and we were like,
it's a bit too warm.
and they're like,
"Oh, okay."
but the weather did cool down, and on the 28th we put Pidge outside in its pen for the very first time and let it sleep outside. Again, for me, a lot of worry about what's going to happen, like,
Is Pidge going to die of exposure?
even though it is a pigeon, they are designed to be outside. And you know, we lined the bottom of the hutch and it's got a makeshift nest, the colander with bedding inside, and Pidge did sleep in the nest. We cleaned it out every single day because pigeons mainly poo. They don't really do much else from my experience, they just poo and eat. On the 1st of July, getting Pidge out of its pen, Pidge wriggled and got out of my hands and sort of fluttered in the garden, which was really scary for me because I was trying to get Pidge.
Oh god, just the bed movement gives me anxiety.
So I was trying to get Pidge and Pidge just sort of like fluttered around the garden and managed to elude me. I was verbally told to calm down, which calmed me down, and I managed to scoop Pidge and take Pidge inside. On the 2nd of July, someone who will remain nameless said maybe we should let Pidge fly. Let's see how Pidge does just being let out. This person has subsequently said that they didn't think that Pidge would get very far and that they wanted Pidge to get some exercise. Pidge did fly and did get some exercise. Pidge flew over the wall and got stuck in a bush. I think I've already told you this story, but we went round to this person's house. They let us into their back garden and Pidge was just splayed in a bush. I remember acting it out, I did tell you about this. So we got Pidge, put Pidge in a bag and took Pidge home. And ever since that moment, Pidge knew that it could be free. So whenever we went to try and get Pidge out of its hutch, Pidge just went mental and tried to escape. So we had to come up with a cunning plan. So instead of opening the little gate on the outside of this rabbit hutch, we had to lift up the lid and get Pidge from the inside. Pidge cottoned on really quickly to that and just went absolutely mental every time we opened the hutch, to the point at the end of our relationship, Pidge was going so crazy, like, I don't know how to describe it, just sort of shuffling around so much that, and like, it would fly at the door and try to get out of the wire of the door, but a pigeon's head and neck are way smaller than their body, so it just gets stuck. Well, it wouldn't get stuck, it'd just try and then go away and then try again. But anyway, it was doing this so much that Pidge's tail feathers were starting to get broken. I read that parasites on pigeons can cause them to be imbalanced, and Pidge wasn't very good at balancing. If Pidge tried to walk or move, it would fall and then use its wing to steady it, or its beak to steady it. It was quite upsetting to watch, but someone I know, their granddad kept pigeons and said that it's just a baby pigeon, it'll grow out of it. So I was sort of clinging on to that, and I don't know whether I was right to or not. But yeah, so I read that parasites can cause pigeons to be like off balance. I can't find that article now,
So I might have made it up.
so I bought some anti-parasite spray. We sprayed Pidge on the 10th of July, and along with spraying Pidge, we also sprayed the entirety of Pidge's cage. And a really big, to my knowledge, parasite dropped off, but nothing else, just one. You're not supposed to spray this spray more than once a week on the pigeon, so the next week we sprayed Pidge and nothing else fell off of Pidge. So I don't know if there was just this one parasite or whether we just weren't very good at spraying Pidge the second time. But it didn't really change the way that Pidge acted, other than I think that Pidge was a little bit more energetic after that. I haven't mentioned I believe 3 times Pidge flew at the wall, I think just trying to escape through a wall. Pidge was just sort of living its life. We're not sure. I know that I can never say this word, anthropomorphize. I'm gonna have to look it up. I can never say it. I can never say it. Anthropomorphize.
Anthropomorphism.
Anthropomorphism. Anthropomorphism. That is the best I'm going to do. I quite often anthropomorphise Pidge, and I was a little bit worried that Pidge was maybe depressed because we were its captors and it hated us and we just kept being around it and keeping it in a cage. Ooh. The decision was made anyway in the house on the 27th of July that Pidge was no longer going to stay with us. I was devastated because I wanted to keep Pidge. And I know that might be, well, I know that it is selfish, but Pidge has been such a large part of lockdown for me and helping me be focused on something other than the fact that there's a global pandemic and the world is a mess. And I like helping people and things, so I found it really difficult to let this journey end. And I also know that Pidge hated us. No matter how much I care about Pidge, Pidge just didn't want to be near me, so I can sort of see why letting Pidge not be here anymore might be a good idea. We also didn't know if there's any underlying issues with Pidge, or, you know, whether it's cruel to keep a pigeon that can't walk properly alive, or, you know, whether it is just a baby. Like, I'm not a bird expert, obviously. On the 28th of July, we phoned up an animal welfare rescue place called the Pet Samaritans, and they have a pro-pigeon policy, so that means that they don't just euthanize pigeons, which a lot of places do. If you just take a pigeon, they're like, meh, right out of the sky, brr, 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 brr. And they said that we could bring Pidge in at 4 o'clock, and my heart broke into 1,000 pieces. We asked if we could bring Pidge in the next day, and they said yes. So we brought Pidge in the day after to get our heads round the fact that Pidge was leaving, basically. So on the 29th of July, we took Pidge in a cardboard box all the way to Chesterfield. We told them Pidge's name, and they said that we could ring up and find out how Pidge was, which we did do today, but no one in the bird department was around. That's sort of why I've been holding off on this video, is because I wanted to also give you an update on how Pidge is now, because I feel like that chapter isn't closed until we know whether Pidge is doing good or whether Pidge isn't doing so good. But I felt sad and worried about Pidge in the past, and Pidge has always come through, so I am really hopeful. And I'm going to give you an update as soon as I know. We have noticed that Mama Pidge, aka the mama of Pidge, is roosting again, so we might get another instalment of bird updates. But hopefully not. Hopefully they've built their nest in a more safe manner. Fingers crossed. There is going to be a video up on Thursday. At the end of July, I decided that I'm going to cut down my upload schedule to only 1 video a week in August, which that might follow through. I might up it again, I might leave it as it is, but I've realised that I have been so focused on doing these videos twice a week that I've sort of forgotten to live. I've sort of allowed this as a project to take my mind off of what's happening in the world so much that I feel a little bit disconnected with what's actually going on at the moment. I think for the time being, for August at least, I will only be uploading on Thursdays. So that's a pre-warning for you. And that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm not going to do a handstand because it's 11:30 at night, and also you've seen Pidge throughout this, and I feel like after I've broken my heart on the internet, the last thing that needs to be done is to then see me do a handstand, or will fail miserably at doing handstands. I'll see you on Thursday. Mwah.